Hello students, welcome to AriserTalent. As you know, we are studying very important chapter of biology, that is the fundamental unit of life, means cell, in which we have already studied about the structure and function of the cell. Now we are going to talk about cell division, how the cell divides. Cell division means how the cell divides. Okay, so here we can mention the topic cell division. Now, what is cell division? We can say that cell division functions in growth, repair and reproduction. Here we can mention cell division functions in what? Growth, because the cell will divide and it will grow. So, we can say cell division functions in growth, repair and reproduction. Okay. Generally, cell division consists of two processes. Here we can mention cell division of two type. Cell division is of two type. Number one is mitosis and number two is meiosis. Okay. So, first of all we will talk about mitosis, then meiosis. Number one is mitosis. Generally, mitosis occurs in somatic cells during the formation of body cells. Okay. So, here we can mention it occurs in somatic cells. It occurs in somatic cells and generally it produces daughter cells, two genetically identical daughter cells. Okay, it produces genetically, or we can say it produces two genetically identical daughter cells. Okay. How it happens? We can see here 2n again divides and forms 2n, means the cell divides and produces same kind of daughter cells, means these are genetically identical daughter cells. Clear? Now we will talk about meiosis. Here I can mention meiosis. Number two is meiosis. Okay. What is meiosis? Generally it occurs in reproductive cells. It occurs in reproductive cells. Okay, it occurs in reproductive cells and generally it produces 4 daughter cells in which the chromosomes are half in numbers of the parent cells. Okay, it occurs in reproductive cells and generally forms sex cells like sperm or ova. It produces daughter cells with half of chromosome of parent cell. Okay, how it happens? We can see it is parent cell, then through the meiosis, generally it takes 2 steps. Generally meiosis occurs in the 2 steps. So, here it is the parent cell. Once by the process of meiosis, it will divide and convert into N. Then we can say that it converts whatever the daughter cell it produces, it contains half of the chromosome of the parent cell. Okay, again by the second meiosis, it will again divide and will form daughter cell and they will be total 4 in number. Okay, these are daughter cells. Okay, these all are daughter cells. Clear? So thus we can say that meiosis takes place in the reproductive cells and it produces 4 daughter cells. Next is cell cycle. What is cell cycle? Living and dividing cells pass through a sequence of division and growth, and this is known as cell cycle. Here we can mention the cell cycle. What is cell cycle? The living and dividing cells pass through a regular sequence of growth and division. This is called cell cycle. This is called cell cycle. Okay, what is cell cycle? That every dividing cell will pass through a sequence of growth and cell division. Here we will study about the different types of cell division. Then I will explain you what are the cell cycles. That every living cell or dividing cell will pass through different steps or regular steps of growth and division. This is known as cell cycle. Okay. Now it contains 2 phases. It consists of, means cell cycle consists of 2 phases. What are they? One is long non-dividing phase, also known as interphase. Okay, and second is short dividing phase, that is known as what? M phase. Whole cycle of the cell division contains 2 phases. Okay, it is divided into 2 phases. One is long non-dividing phase, that is known as interphase or also known as preparing phase, and the other one is short dividing phase. Okay, in generally in this phase the cell division takes place. Here I am going to explain you interphase. Number 1 is interphase. Interphase or non-dividing cell or also known as preparing phase. Okay. In this phase what happens? Generally this phase consists 3 parts: G1 phase, S phase and G2 phase. This phase is longest phase and consists G1 phase, S phase and G2 phase. Okay. Then here next is what? Short dividing phase. Next is short dividing phase, that is also known as M phase. Okay. It consists 2 phases. What are they? Number 1 is mitosis and number 2 is meiosis. Okay. Now let me tell you that whole this phase, I will explain you whole this phase in a diagram. here you can see it is complete cell cycle. Okay, then first interphase, this is the G1 phase, means growth, first growth phase. G1 phase is first growth phase. Okay, and generally it takes 12 hours to complete. Clear? Then is S phase, interphase, and in the interphase generally it is divided into 3 parts. G1 phase which take 12 hours to complete, and this is known as first growth phase. Okay. Then S phase, this is known as synthesize phase. Here DNA gets synthesized. Okay. Next is G2 phase. Here we can mention G2 phase. This is G2 phase. It takes generally 3 to 4 hours. And S phase takes 6 to 8 hours to complete. Okay. G2 phase is second growth phase. It is second growth phase. Okay, and this is known as what? M phase. M phase, and generally it takes 1 hour to complete. And this whole circle present what? It present the phases of what? Cell cycle. Clear? This is the cell cycle. Now next is short dividing M phase. Here it is M phase. It is short dividing M phase. Generally it consists what? It consists karyokinesis and cytokinesis. It consists karyokinesis means nuclear division, okay, and cytokinesis means division of cytoplasm, division. Okay, so thus we can say that M phase, which is the short phase because it takes very short time to complete, and it consists karyokinesis and cytokinesis, because in this phase when the cell divides, so the nucleus which is present in the cell will divide and the cytoplasm will also divide, and then it will, when the cell will produce daughter cells, same number of daughter cells, like 2 daughter cells, then they will contain the same numbers of chromosome. Okay, and this duration the nuclear division will take place in that cell, and also the cytoplasm division will take place in the cell. Now first of all we will talk about mitosis. This M phase or mitosis. First of all, mitosis. The term mitosis was introduced by Fleming. Term mitosis was given by Fleming. Okay, term mitosis was given by Fleming. In such kind of division, generally the parent cell divides and forms the 2 daughter cells which contains what? Same numbers of chromosomes. In this, generally it occurs in the somatic cells, or it is also known as, here we can mention, it is also known as somatic division. Why it is known as somatic division? Because it takes place during the formation of body cells, as It occurs during the formation of body cells. Okay, so thus we can say it is also known as somatic division. Next is, in this division, parent cell divides and forms two genetic identical daughter cells. Two genetic identical daughter cells. They contain same number of chromosomes as are present in the parent cell. Okay. Generally it consists 4 phases. Means we can say mitosis consists 4 phases. Means such division takes place in the 4 phases. What are the 4 phases? Prophase, metaphase, anaphase and telophase. Okay, so these are the 4 phases in which mitosis takes place. Okay, so we can say that mitosis completes in the 4 phases. First of all, we will talk about prophase. Prophase is the longest phase in which what? In which chromatin material condense and form chromosomes. Here we can see this is the mitosis, this is the phase of mitosis. Here we can say it was the interphase, which I have already seen you that interphase contains 3 phases. What are they? G1 phase, G2 phase, G1 phase, S phase and G2 phase. G1 phase, S phase and G2 phase. Okay, so this phase, interphase, is the non-dividing phase of cell division. Now we will come to the prophase. From here to here, the mitosis will take place. This is what? It's mitosis. So mitosis will take place from prophase to telophase. Okay. Now here we can see that prophase is the longest phase in which chromatin material condense and form chromosome. Here we can see that it forms chromosome. Okay. Then metaphase. What happens in metaphase? That these, we can see that these chromosomes separates and then they come to the equator. Okay, they reaches to the equator and form metaphase plate. Here this is the metaphase plate. Clear? So we can say that in the metaphase, chromosome reaches at the equator and form metaphase plate. Then anaphase. What happens in the anaphase? That this centromere, we can see centromere. What is centromere? Centromere is the part which joins the chromatids. Okay, we can see these are the sister chromatids. Now what happens in the anaphase? In this phase, centromeres separates the chromatids and then they move to the poles. Next is the telophase. This is the reverse phase of the prophase. Okay, Generally what happens? Generally cytokinesis take part in this process only, and then cytoplasm divides, and generally two daughter cells are formed in this telophase. This is the final phase, and generally cytokinesis take part in this phase. And as I told you, karyokinesis takes part from the prophase itself. Okay, like nuclear membrane start disappearing from this phase only. So this is the part of mitosis, and these are the steps of mitosis. Clear? Now first of all we will talk about prophase. What is prophase? This is the longest phase. Here we can mention. First of all we will talk about prophase. First is prophase. It is the longest phase. Okay, chromatin material, or we can say in this phase, chromatin material condense and forms chromosomes. Hope you all know that chromosome contains genes. Okay, so this is prophase. Next is metaphase. We can see in the diagram that in the metaphase, in this phase, chromosome reach at equator, and form metaphase plate. Okay, third one is anaphase. What happens in anaphase? We can see that centromeres separates and then it aparts the chromatin sisters. In this phase, centromere separates and chromatids are apart from sister chromatid. Okay, then last one is the telophase. Generally daughter cells are formed in this phase, and this is the reverse phase of prophase. How it is a reverse phase? As in the prophase, nuclear membrane starts disappearing, but in this telophase form, the nuclear membrane starts reforming. Okay, so last one is telophase. It is the reverse phase of prophase. Okay, and here what happens? Cytokinesis takes place in this phase. Generally, cytokinesis starts from anaphase itself. Here we can see that anaphase, in the anaphase, cytokinesis starts taking place here only, but it takes part, it gets separate completely in two daughter cells only in the phase of telophase. Clear? So, this is all about the mitosis. Now, cytokinesis. What is cytokinesis? Cytokinesis means division of cytoplasm. Next is cytokinesis. Cytoplasm divides in two daughter cells This is known as here we can mention cytoplasm divides in newly formed daughter cells. This is known as cytokinesis. Okay, so it was all about what? It was all about the cell cycle, in which we studied about the mitosis, that it starts from interphase itself. This is the long phase, but it is non-dividing phase because cell division does not take part in it. Now, actual mitosis starts from the prophase only, in which what happens, in which chromatin material which is found in the nucleus. So, what happens? Nuclear membrane starts disappearing and the chromatin material which is present inside the nucleus, then it condenses and form chromosome. Here we can see the chromosomes. Okay, now what happens in metaphase? That these chromosomes come at the equator and they form metaphase plate. Clear? Here then comes the anaphase. Generally it is the shortest phase of the mitosis, and generally what happens? Centromere separates and then it generally these chromatid sisters gets apart from each other. Last one is the telophase, and this is the last phase. Generally the parent cell divided into two daughter cells, and generally this phase is known as telophase, in which cytoplasm divides in the both daughter cells. Clear? So, this was all about mitosis. In our next lecture, we will talk about meiosis. Thank you.